3D printers typically work in millimeters. For example, your nozzle is probably 0.4 millimeters. So with that in mind, we should probably be working in millimeters. Head over to Scene Properties tab and change Units Length to be set to millimeters. You may need to set the unit system to metric. Press Shift and drag with the left click to pan the camera and use the scroll wheel or pinch to zoom. I use the front and side view a lot because it will lock your movements and rotation to the axis of your choice. Add in a cube and a plane. With the plane, leave it alone and this will be the reference for the ground, or the tabletop in this case. The ground plane is completely optional and is just a visual aid. The XY lines will also work, but not as well. Now, with the cube, change its dimensions to that of the phone you'd like to make the stand. Looking at it from the side view, press G to move the phone shape above the ground. While still in side view, press R22.5 to rotate your phone to 22.5 degrees. You can pick a different angle, but I like this angle. Now apply the rotation and scale by pressing Ctrl A, and in this context menu, press O, or click on the rotation and scale button. Add in a Bezier curve and rotate it -90 degrees on the x-axis. Press RX90, and then you should have a curve just under the phone that looks like this. Using G to move, S to scale, and R to rotate, manipulate the points of the curve to make a small shelf, just the size of the phone. Press E to extrude the last point on the curve, and the next part is largely the same as before. We're just going to be working on the body. Keep in mind where the weight is of the phone so you have an idea of how far up and out the model needs to be. But this part will probably require a little bit of trial and error, because there's always a chance that you'll get it a little bit wrong. You will just have to remeasure and adjust the design and reprint it. That's why on this design I have not added a lip on the front to hold it in more securely, because that's just one more area that I could mess up the measurement. Press Tab to get back into object mode. With the curve still selected, press Shift D, M, N, and name it Backup. You just duplicated the curve and added it to a new collection called Backup. You can now hide the backup collection to make sure it's safe and not selectable. With the working curve selected, right-click and select Convert to Mesh. Now your object is no longer a curve and is a proper 3D mesh with vertices and edges. Press Tab to enter Edit, press A, G, Y to move all the vertices of this curve to the edge of your phone. If you want the stand to be wider than your phone, then move this line to the outside of your phone, but I want mine to be slightly smaller than it, so I'll put it on the inside of mine. Press E and Y to extrude the shape to be as wide as you like. In object mode, add a solidify modifier to the curve and set its width to 1.2 or 1.6 millimeters. This will be 3 or 4 walls thick, as long as your nozzle is 0.4 millimeters. Make sure the thickness is facing the right direction and make sure your model looks right. You might have to go back a few steps and keep tweaking it to get it the exact way you'd like. Press Shift, D, M, and B to duplicate the shape and add it to the backup collection. You should do that at any point you may want to go back to in the future. With the working shape selected, enter edit mode and add an edge the loop cut in the middle by pressing Ctrl R, clicking, and then press Escape to snap the loop in the center. Press B to make a bevel, so that way we can get 2 edge loops evenly spaced apart from either side of this model. Now do the same thing for the thin outer edge that wraps around the model. With the loops added, press Tab to go back into object mode and add a subdivision surface modifier. Set the levels viewport to 2. This last step made the model look smoother, and the skinny edge loop will help the model stay on the build plate, because without it, the subdivision surface modifier would have rounded over the entire edge, leaving very little surface for the build plate to contact. Now you export and print however your setup is set up. The slicing and printing for this model I think is an entire can of worms on its own, so I can go over that in the next video if anybody would like that. I hope it wasn't confusing. I wrote this hoping it would be a beginner-friendly tutorial, if you are a noob and I am using terms regularly that you don't understand, then please let me know, because I feel because I'm not sure where the base level understanding of is at. Everybody starts from somewhere. Everybody has a base level of something, and I can't go over every single term. So if there's ever a term, just let me know.